The movie starts in a city called Seabrook, and we learn that humans, vampires, aliens, and zombies live together in peace and calm in this city. And we learn that there's a legend that says, a stone from space collided with planet Earth, and at that time, the stone split into two halves, and two types of mythical creatures appeared, which are the vampires and the Daywalkers. These creatures imprison themselves in another world far from people, and no one ever sees them. And we learn that the collision resulted in a large orchard planted with blood fruit, which is their main food. And with time, the Daywalkers and the vampires began fighting over this fruit because it started to decrease gradually and would not be enough for them. Currently, we see one of the zombies named Zed, who tells us that he lives normally with humans and that he studies at university and is interested in playing football. Then we move to a girl at the same university named Addison, who is half human and half alien. And she tells us that she wishes to be the cheerleading team leader, like she was back in high school. And we learn that Zed and Addison are friends, but they didn't have time to meet during the whole school year. And when the school year ends, they meet, and Zed decides to take Addison and her friends in his car to drop them off in the city. Her friends are Willa and Eliza. Then we go to the Sun City where the Daywalkers live, and a girl named Nova appears, training the tribe's fighters in combat skills so that they are prepared for the war that will happen between them and the vampires. And at that moment, a little girl comes and asks Nova, in fear, whether they must go to war just for food or not. Nova tells her that unfortunately, they have to do that because the vampires might take all the food for themselves. Suddenly, Nova sees a vision in which a vampire named Victor appears, but her father, the leader Braid, brings her out of the vision and tells her that he will depend on her in their war against the vampires. Then Victor appears in front of his friends, bringing with him blood fruit and telling them that he is planning to leave their city and go to the outside world. But Victor notices that his friends are not interested, so he tells them that the outside world has many things they have never seen before. At that moment, they hear the voice of Eldris, Victor's aunt and the vampire leader, while she motivates her tribe to get ready for their war against the Daywalkers. That's also because they are going to the old orchard to take the blood fruit harvest. We return to Zed and his group, who are walking in the forest. And at that moment, Zed is talking with his coach on the phone, and Addison is busy with the summer cheer camp. Suddenly, a strong wave of energy appears, and Zed's bracelet, which maintains his human appearance, gets disrupted. Zed gets nervous and starts to change in appearance, not to mention that he loses control of the car and it flips over inside the forest. Luckily, they are all okay and nothing happens to them, and they want to find out what is the source of this energy. So they decide to split up and search for the source inside the forest. While Addison is walking in the forest, she passes through a gate that transfers her to the dark city, and Addison is shocked when she sees a big city in front of her, so she decides to go ask the people of this city about the energy source. At the same time, Zed enters through a gate that transfers him to the Sun City, and at that moment, he finds in front of him the Daywalker tribe on their way to the old orchard. As for Addison, she meets the vampire tribe, who are also on their way to the old orchard. And here, Addison introduces herself and tells them that she is one of the aliens. Eldris wants to imprison Addison in a cell, but Victor intervenes and convinces Eldris not to imprison Addison and tells her that he will be responsible for her throughout the journey. Eldris agrees and orders her tribe to continue on their way. Addison thanks Victor for helping her, and she notices that a drawing fell from him on the ground, and it has the picture of a girl. He tells her that he dreams of this girl a lot, and that's why he draws her. And it turns out that the girl Victor drew is Nova. After that, the Daywalkers reach a tunnel in the forest, open the door at the end of the tunnel, and go through it. Then they continue on their way toward the old orchard. At the same time, the vampires arrive at the tunnel, go through it, and walk in the sunlight for the first time, and they are surprised that it doesn't harm them. As soon as they see the Daywalkers in front of them, They prepare to attack, but the Daywalkers quickly run to the orchard to take the blood fruit first. So the vampires catch up to them quickly, and they meet at the orchard gate. At that moment, the Daywalkers and vampires prepare to attack each other, but Addison blows the whistle she has and stops them. Then they notice that the orchard gate has 3 keys. Addison suggests that the Daywalkers and vampires cooperate together, and that each tribe forms a team with a leader to search for the keys and open the orchard gate, then divide the blood fruit harvest among them. Willa confirms Addison's suggestion and says it's a good idea, especially since there's a nearby camp they can stay in. Braid is convinced by Addison's words and agrees to the idea and reaches his hand to Eldris as a sign of peace. Braid chooses Nova to be the leader of the Daywalkers team that will search for the key, and Eldris chooses Victor to be the leader of the vampires team. At night, both teams arrive at the camp and learn that this camp was once used by the vampires and the Daywalkers in the past, before the war happened between them over the blood fruit. Addison is happy that she will spend time with Zed, while Nova goes to observe Victor to make sure he is the person she sees in her dreams. Then we go to Willa, and we learn that she is of vampire lineage, and that becomes clear when she imposes her control over Vera, Fergus, and the rest of the team, and forces them to sleep against their will because they were planning to attack the Daywalkers and fight them. The next day, Addison talks with Nova, and at the same time, Zed talks with Victor, and they are both close to convincing them to cooperate together to find the orchard gate keys. But Nova and Victor find it difficult to convince the group that is with them. So Nova goes and talks to Victor alone, and they are able to get the Daywalkers and vampires to cooperate together in an indirect way until they find in front of them a symbol similar to the one drawn on the orchard gate. Nova realizes that this symbol will be hiding the key, so she moves the circular parts in a certain way, and the key to the gate appears in front of them. She takes it and runs to the orchard gate and puts it in its place. At that moment, the gate opens, and they are all happy. After that, they return to the camp to rest, because the next day they will search for the second key to the second gate. At night, the Daywalkers and the vampires sit together and have dinner, and then they go to sleep. Zed sits with Addison and Eliza first, and suddenly a wave of energy happens, and it affects all of them. After the wave ends, Eliza tells them that the energy wave could strike their city at any time. So they all become worried about their families and decide that they must find the source of the energy and disable it at any cost. At the same time, Nova leaves the hut to get some fresh air, and she is surprised when she finds Victor behind her. They talk together about the vision they both keep seeing, and they realize that the only explanation for that is that their fate is one. Afterwards, Victor tells Nova that he wants to show her something, so he takes her, and they leave the place and walk through the forest. At that moment, they are seen by one of the Daywalkers named Ray, and he does not like what he sees. As for Victor and Nova, they arrive at a dark place, so Nova uses her power and lights a fire so she can see the place. She is surprised to discover that the place is a temple for the Daywalkers and the vampires, and that becomes clear from the symbol she sees inside the temple. Nova is puzzled by the hostility that currently exists between the two tribes, even though their ancestors used to live together in peace. Nova tells Victor that they must end the hostility between the two tribes because they will be the leaders of the tribes in the future. Victor is convinced by her words and agrees with her opinion. He tells her that he used to want to leave the tribe and explore the outside world, but as soon as he saw her, he changed his mind. After that, he takes her, and they start dancing and singing together, and they are extremely happy until they arrive at a certain place and enter it. Nova learns from Victor that this place contains the moon phase symbols and also rainbow colors, but they are not arranged. They also notice that the moon phase symbols are not in order either, so they understand that they have to arrange them so that the gate key will appear. They move quickly and arrange them until the key appears in front of them. At that moment, Nova gives the key to Victor because he is the one who will open the second gate. The next day, the Daywalkers and the vampires are waiting for Nova and Victor at the orchard gate. As soon as they arrive, Ray asks them where they were and what they were doing. They surprise everyone and show them the gate key. Victor puts the key in its place, and the second gate opens. Now there's only one final key left to find. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently, and a stone sphere emerges from it. It has the symbol of the sun and the moon engraved on it, and beneath them, there's a sentence that says, "Only one team will win." At that moment, they all understand that if the Daywalker team pushes the ball toward the sun symbol, they will be the winners, and if the vampire team pushes it toward the moon symbol, then they will win. So both teams start competing over who will push the ball first. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy occurs, and Zed is affected by this wave more than ever before. They all run to him and quickly take him back to the camp. There, Eliza examines him and finds that he's gotten better. They then decide that they must find the source of the energy immediately. They ask Addison to go and sit with the two tribes until they return. Addison goes out and reassures the tribes about Zed, but inside, she's worried and scared for her friends. Meanwhile, Zed, Eliza, and Willa head into the forest and follow the energy signal until they arrive at a large rock. Zed decides to disable the bracelet on his wrist and transforms into a zombie so that his strength increases and he can move the rock from its place. He successfully manages to do that, and they find a large pit underneath the rock. Zed decides to go down into it to find the energy source. He ties himself with a rope and has Eliza and Willa hold it while he descends into the pit. But suddenly, the rope snaps and Zed falls into the pit. At that moment, Addison and the rest hear the sound of the collapse, so they decide to go quickly toward the source of the sound, toward the pit. Willa and Eliza are shocked when they see a large rock has fallen on Zed, so they gather their strength and lift the rock off him. Then they look around and find a huge tower built over the roots of the blood fruit. But part of the tower is broken and has fallen on these roots. At this moment, they realize that the energy waves were actually distress signals coming from the blood fruit roots. Zed decides to move the tower and lift the broken part off the roots. At that moment, Addison arrives with the Daywalkers and the vampires, and they all work together and help Zed until they finally succeed in moving the tower off the roots of the fruit. At that moment, they're all very happy about what they've accomplished. At that moment, Victor and Nova understand the meaning of the sentence, "Only one team will win." The sentence engraved on the sphere that appeared in front of the orchard gate, and they realize that the meaning behind it is that the vampires and the Daywalkers must unite and become one team in order to win. But the members of both tribes reject the idea, so Addison climbs up to a high place and calls out to them to be quiet, and she keeps speaking to them until she convinces them to cooperate together as one team. But when they return to the camp, Ray speaks with Nova alone and reminds her of what her father told her, that they would take the entire harvest of blood fruit for themselves. At that moment, one of the vampire girls is standing nearby and spying on them, and as soon as she hears Ray's words, she leaves to inform Eldris. At that moment, Nova tells Ray that she does not agree with her father's plan and lets him know that she will cooperate with the vampires. The next day, the Daywalkers and the vampires gather in front of the stone sphere, and for the first time, they all notice that the sun and moon symbols are together. So they unite and push the sphere until it reaches the symbol. At that moment, the sphere opens and the gate key appears inside it, but the key is enclosed in a crystal. So the Daywalkers and the vampires cooperate and combine the power of the sun with the power of the wind, and they manage to melt the crystal surrounding the key. Then Victor takes the key and opens the final orchard gate, and they all enter, happy about what they have done. They are surprised to find a huge quantity of blood fruit, which is the opposite of what the leaders made them believe. At that moment, Braid tells Nova that she has betrayed his trust. And here, Nova learns that Ray told Braid that Nova was not going to follow his orders. At the same time, Eldris thanks the girl who informed her that the Daywalkers want to take the fruit all for themselves. Then she tells Braid that she will not allow him to take control of the blood fruit. So Braid attacks her with a solar energy orb, and she responds with a wind energy orb. When the two orbs collide, a massive wave of energy happens, and this wave burns half of the blood fruit harvest. After that, Braid and Eldris leave to prepare for the war that's about to happen. Then the Daywalker team and the vampire team gather their belongings at the camp so that each team can return to its city. Meanwhile, Eliza takes her friends, and they go to the roots of the blood fruit to analyze the energy pulses coming from them, because something has changed due to what happened. At the same time, she looks for any way to heal Zed, who is greatly affected by the energy wave and is afraid he'll completely transform into a zombie and won't be able to return to his human form again. At that moment, Nova and Victor arrive at the place and discover that the tower has a slot for the Moonstone, which belongs to the vampires, and a slot for the Sunstone, which belongs to the Daywalkers. So they understand that if they place the two stones next to each other, this might heal the energy coming out of the blood fruit roots. They rush to the camp and catch their friends before they leave, and they talk to them to convince them to cooperate together to return the stones to their places. They tell them that this is the only way to achieve eternal peace between them. Their friends are convinced by their words and agree. Then they wait until the Daywalkers and the vampires leave their places to go fight each other. Nova attacks the guards of the Sunstone and defeats them, then takes the Sunstone and keeps it with her. At the same time, Victor manages to take the Moonstone after defeating the vampires guarding it. At that moment, Braid and Eldris arrive at the orchard and are shocked when they find that the blood fruit has completely disappeared. They go looking for it until they discover that all the fruit is located at the tower. They demand that Zed and his friends hand over the fruit, but they refuse and prepare for battle. Suddenly, Victor and Nova arrive with the sun and moon stones and quickly climb up to place them on the tower. At that moment, Victor forms a circle of wind energy to protect them from the attacks of Braid and Eldris, who are both rejecting what Nova and Victor are doing. Indeed, they succeed in placing the stones in their positions. At that moment, the Moonstone unites with the Sunstone, and from them comes a powerful energy that causes the rain to fall. Everyone is filled with joy, and Zed is healed when the rainwater touches his body. Not only that, but the energy of the blood fruit roots is healed, and a massive amount of blood fruit appears throughout the entire orchard. At that moment, Braid and Eldris are proud of Nova and Victor because they proved that they are true leaders and did the right thing that serves the interests of their tribes. After that, everyone sings and dances together happily. After a while, Zed is with Addison alone, and they agree to spend the summer together to make up for the time they didn't see each other all year. As for Nova and Victor, they are standing in front of the sea, and here the movie ends. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you in the next recap.